Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. I am author of 10 books, either as an editor or an author, and I have authored 58 research papers. I have taught at 2 foreign universities, one at Valparaiso University in USA, another is North Dakota State University again in USA, and it's about 30 years that I have been working now. It's my privilege that I am here with you to talk about negotiation skills. We are going to talk how you can become a negotiator and what all skills you need to possess to become a negotiator. So friends, we will start with how to become a negotiator. So certainly one can be a negotiator by earning a degree. So these are the few things which you require to become a negotiator. Number 1, earn a degree. Number 2, enter your desired field. Number 3, undergo specialty training. And number 4, apply to become a negotiator. Right, so earn a degree. Certainly, it all depends that which area do you want to become a negotiator as. If you are keen to go into the legal system, you want to be a mediator, then you need to have a degree of law program. If you want to be a negotiator in the insurance sector, then you need to have some kind of degree in insurance, a BBA in insurance, BCom in insurance. If you want to be a negotiator in the area of sales, you must have studied sales, you must have gained some experience in sales. You could be an MBA with some exposure to sales subjects, right? So first thing for a negotiator would be earning a degree, and then you enter your desired field. So once you have earned a degree, then actually enter the field either as in the law area, law sector, in the healthcare sector, in sales sector, whichever area you want to. So just enter by applying for jobs in that area, cracking the interviews and making the people who are interviewing you understand that you possess a degree which will help you to become a negotiator, and make them believe you that you have good negotiation skill, and that should be exhibited during the interview process, during the selection process, and finally you enter the field of your interest. And the third step, as we said, was that undergo specialty training. There are certain negotiation areas, especially hostages, crisis negotiation, hostages negotiation. There you need to undergo certain special training. You cannot straightway start practicing negotiation, right? We call it as practicing because these are the people who actually possess it as skill, right? So you may require training in the area of psychology to some extent, how to read faces, how to read facial expressions, how to use emotional intelligence, how for all those aspects of negotiation. So you would be required to go training, special training, or if not training, not a formal training, that maybe you will work with someone as a assistant, as a second man, and gain practical learning from him or her, right, by observation, by reports, reading, and etc. So this is how one should be trained at. And then finally you are becoming a negotiator. You become a negotiator and you ask the organization that yes, I would like to work as a negotiator now. So this is how you become a negotiator. After this, I am going to talk about that what are the skills which are required to become a negotiator. So it's not that everybody can be a good negotiator. It's not that everyone's cup of tea. Believe me or not, it's not as simple and as easy as it seems to be. At your college level, you would have seen that if there's a small fight between two groups, two friends, that there would be somebody who comes in and try to console both of the parties, reach to a conclusion, and kind of pacify the situation. That pacification is possible only if you have convincing skill, right? So even that is a negotiation which is happening at the time of fight, at the time of quarrel. Okay, so there are certain skills required by negotiators. The first is communication. Communication is the crux. So second is active listening, third is patience, and the fourth is emotional intelligence. We will talk about 8 more skills, but let's discuss these 4 skills first. So communication is the first and the foremost skill required by anybody to become a successful negotiator. How can you be, or you can claim to be a negotiator if you cannot communicate the point of view of your client or your company to whom you are representing, or the customer you are representing, or the party you are representing, right? So you have to be a good listener at the first instance, to understand the expectations of the client you are working for, the company you are working for. So this becomes my responsibility to pay attention to the minute of the minute details and understand the expectations of the client you are representing. So that is listening skill, but listening is very part of communication. And then the communication which we generally say strongly is spoken communication as well. You should be able to communicate your point of view after you assess the requirement of the client, right? So active listening and communication, they both are very important. Communication cannot be something we can ignore at all to become a negotiator. If I wish to be a good negotiator, I should really work upon my communication skill, because you have to be a patient listener, active listener, and you have to speak for your client, both. So listening and spoken, written and verbal, they both are required as a part of good communication skill. And second point, which we have already covered, as an active listener, you have to be very attentive listener to understand the expectation of the client. And also during the meetings, during the negotiation process, when you are representing your client in the meeting, when the actual negotiation is going between the two parties, right, you have to be very good at listening at that point of time, because if you are able to listen very well, you will grab the crux of the discussion, you will be able to strike at the right point, you will be able to make the other party understand, see, this is doable, this is not doable, right? So active listening really plays a very important role. And then not only that, you need to be very patient. You cannot just start responding the moment you hear upon the first point of the, let them speak, let them complete what they are trying to tell. Try to understand their perspective. Be patient, give them time to complete the sentence. You may get something important towards the end, which you would otherwise have missed if you did not allow them to speak, right? So having a patient hearing and having patience during the discussion and before and after the discussion, both, because you may give something as, this is our proposal, right? After that, you needed to be patient enough to wait for their response, because if you will just simply follow up immediately after the meeting, whatever the proposal you put during the meeting, they would feel there's an urge to you, then they will not accept, they may not consider even the point you made, right, the other party I'm talking. So you needed to be patient enough. So a good negotiator need to have the skill to be patient also. And then certainly the fourth one was emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence has 2 aspects. One is that I am good at dealing with my own emotions. Let's say somebody is talking, the other party is talking during the meeting, and I am really not liking the point, the way they are presenting and the point in itself they are making. I may know that they are lying, I may know they are bluffing. So here, as a good negotiator, it's my responsibility to control my emotions and not let my emotions come on my face and make the other party feel that you are angry, you are not trusting what they are saying. Just be patient, let them finish. Handle your emotions very well, and then be intelligent enough, emotionally intelligent enough to put across the point while countering them, but not disrespecting them, the other party, because otherwise you will not be able to strike to a deal, right? Strike to a resolve. So emotional intelligence is that dealing with our own emotions during the discussion, during the negotiation, and also understanding others' emotions and using emotional intelligence to the benefit of your own client. So this is the fourth point. Moving forward, the fifth point is planning. The sixth point is persuasion. The seventh point is integrity, and the eighth point is rapport building. We will discuss another 4 points after we discuss these 4 points. So the planning. So a negotiator needed to be a good planner as well. Why? You must be thinking, why? Planning is required everywhere. Of course, I do agree. But a good negotiator need to plan in advance that what would be the flow of my discussion, what would be the whole plan of negotiation. I will reach out to the other party on this date because this day is most busy or most easy for the other party. I will put across a few points in mail, and I will not disclose everything in mail. I will disclose these points during the meeting, first meeting. I will hold these points for the next meeting. What is happening? What are you doing? You are actually planning the whole negotiation process, right? So, any negotiation cannot end in a fruitful discussion or result into a fruitful outcome unless it is planned well. In the planning, of course, it requires reading about the parties, reading about the proposal, reading about all the outcomes you are going to put on the table, and then planning the process one by one. What would be the first thing? What would be the second thing? How will I respond if the party asks for this? How would I respond if party proposes this? Right? So this is what all we need to plan for. Then the sixth point is persuasion. You should be good in pursuing the point you are making, and also pursuing the other party in the direction you want to take them to, in the direction which will result into the expected result for your client, right? So you have to develop that sense of persuasion. You need to pursue with your own idea. Let's say you may give one reason that why this machine will work best in this area, in this geographical area, in this business environment, etc., etc. So the other party may have a counter argument to reject your argument, the first argument you made. Then you should have the second argument ready to pursue with the same thought that why this machine will work. You may have the third argument ready, right? So you should be able to pursue with the idea, the argument you are putting across, right? Getting my point? So a negotiator need to be a good, very good with the persuasion as well. Then the seventh point, the seventh skill a negotiator requires is the integrity. No, in fact, integrity is something which is required everywhere and by anybody. No one can be a good, employee. No one can prove a good leader. No one can prove a good negotiator if integrity is not maintained, right? We cannot disclose the confidential information of the client to the other party. Now, let's say there is a mediator who is working on the behalf of a female in a divorce case, right? So, and he knows that this female, the parents of that females are trying to remarry this girl, so that it means that divorce is required at the earliest possible. So, they have some match in hand. So, now this becomes the integrity of the mediator to keep this fact to himself, right? Though the parents or the girl may have shared simply to pressurize, simply to let the mediator know the importance of closing the deal, closing the divorce process at the earliest possible. But nevertheless, this is the responsibility of negotiator not to let this, or the mediator here, not to let this fact known to the other party, because they may take advantage of it. And many a times people say कि वो मिल गए हैं, you know, वकील मिल गए हैं आपस में, negotiator मिल गए हैं. This happens, right? The moment this information is shared with the other party, you know the damage it can cause to the ongoing deal, right? So, integrity is important, very important for any negotiator to possess. And rapport building is of course very important, and rapport and integrity both goes together. You know, a rapport with the client, rapport with the other party, first with the client for whom you are negotiating, and the second with the client with whom you are negotiating. It can take place only if you have good integrity, you have planned your process very well, and you are pursuing it very well, right? So, rapport doesn't build without efforts. There are so many background efforts which goes in rapport building, right? So, rapport building is very important. You know, if you are able to build a rapport, which means you are able to create a trust, right? Trust between the party with whom you are negotiating. You are negotiating for your own client, right? So, if you are able to make them feel that you are a trustworthy person, you are a genuine person, you are not trying to bluff, you are not trying to be over smart, you are not a cheater, etc., etc. You have a good rapport in the past as well. You worked for them, or you may not have worked for them, right? So, if you are able to build that rapport in the mind of the parties, both parties, you would succeed. You know, be it a sales deal, be it a deal where hostages are to be rescued. You know, just imagine if it is a crisis situation where the hostages are taken over by some terrorist group, and there's a guy who's negotiating with the terrorist, who's negotiating with the terrorist to release or to relieve those hostages. It cannot happen if that terrorist group doesn't trust that the negotiator will communicate the point they are communicating to him, to the concerned government, to the concerned department. So is for the government itself, right? So, rapport building is essential in negotiation, and it is a very important skill to be possessed at. So, moving forward, then we have number 9, empathy. Number 10 is adaptability and problem solving skill. Number 11 is expectation management, and number 12 is decision making. So, we are going to discuss these last few skills in detail now. Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is a situation that you are able to put yourself in the shoes of others, right? We are not talking about sympathy, we are talking about empathy. So, you are able to understand the point of view raised by others. You have an empathical behavior throughout the discussion, which means you do not challenge everything, straight. You say, okay, let me understand it more. Okay, you raise question, you may raise question to understand the point of view of the other. So, and establish that yes, I am listening and I am empathical. Yeah. So, but you just cannot directly challenge the point without understanding their point of view. First try to understand, and if after understanding, after patient hearing, after active listening, and after comprehending the situation, the point very well, then you can make up your point in the meeting. You can put up across your point. But you can, in any situation, you cannot afford to be empathical, right? You have to have an empathical behavior, empathical attitude to become a successful negotiator. And then you need to be adaptive. So you need to adapt to whatever is happening and then solve the problem. So whatever is happening during the meeting. So let's say the client wanted to talk about the pricing part, but you planned to talk about the qualities first. So it means if you will say, no, I will talk about qualities only, I will talk about features only, I will explain the whole process of installation, I will explain, I will talk about the people where I have already installed this machinery, but the client is keen to know the price straight, right, which generally is not a good situation. Of course, any negotiator will not like to talk about the price in the beginning. Any good negotiator will like to talk about features, processes, the ease, the problem solving capacity of the machine, the offer, etc., and at the end would like to talk about the price, right? But if you are stuck with the idea that I will not talk about the price in the beginning, though the other party wants to know, then my dear friend, you are not going to negotiate well, you are going to lose the deal, right? So you need to have the adaptability, you need to adapt to the situation. Somebody was planning to come to your office, but somehow they at the 11th hour they write to you, come to our office. You should be able to respond accordingly, you should be flexible enough to adapt. Somebody wants you to show the presentation or demonstrate how the product is working. So this is adaptability, right? And whatever the question, whatever the concern is put across during the meeting, or the problem which is put across, that we see a problem here, this will not work for us. You should have all the knowledge, you should have all the information and facts and figures with you to address that problem and solve that problem, right? Right, we will not be able to do this. This product will not work in our situation because we have weather conditions, because we have political conditions, because we have this, that, we have electricity problem in our area. You should be able to answer it immediately during the meeting. So that's another skill one need to possess. And then the very, very important skill is expectation management. It's all about give and take, as we say, right? And it's all about achieving your expectation. One party has its own expectations, other party has its own expectations. So you as a negotiator need to manage those expectations for both the parties, right? So you may have to challenge certain expectations very politely, keeping your integrity, keeping the respect, keeping empathical behavior. You need to be so smart, so careful in using the right language and telling, sir, this will be dangerous for you. This is something no one has achieved so far. This is something can never be done, but in a very subtle manner, right? This expectation management is very, very important, part of the whole negotiation process. If you cannot manage the expectations of both the parties, you will not be able to strike a deal or strike a conclusion for sure. And lastly, decision making, as we say, decision making is something which is your job as a negotiator. You may have to decide during the process either to give the next proposal or next price or not, either to give the another benefit or not. So it means you should have prepared well in advance. You should have taken all the information, all the feedback from your client, from your company, from your employer, whosoever you are negotiating for, and should be quick enough to decide and propose at the same point. That will save time. That will actually help you to reach to the next level of negotiation, right? So decision making should be quick, of course should be made after considering all the alternatives and keeping in mind the expectations of the client you are negotiating for. That's very important. But having a decision making skill is essential for a negotiator. So these were the 12 very important skills which are required to be possessed by anyone to pursue negotiation as a career in life. So I would like to sign off now. Hope this lecture helps you. Thank you very much. Thank you.